Probation orders was replaced back in 2011 and community payback orders were then imposed.
So any offence that after the 1st of February 2011 would be community payback orders. However, there is a large number of female offenders who are repeat offenders, and that's maybe been in relation to them undertaking short-term sentences.
Obviously prisons were overcrowded. Somebody had failed to pay their TV licence and had been obviously given a fine for that. They were then given a short sentence along with more kind of serious offenders. And the thing that we looked at as well, how we support is the kind of more lower risk offender. And it was found that they're best supported in the community with the proper supports, because giving somebody a short sentence disrupts families, disrupts communities.
A lot of people coming through these services have had maybe traumatic pasts where they've not been able to kind of deal with what's happened to them, and the way of dealing with your problems is to lift drugs, to lift alcohol, just to kind of cope with your feelings and cope with the pressures of life. And unfortunately coming with that is like you end up breaking the law, trying to get money, you end up caught in that cycle of addiction and offending.
So for me, prison serves a purpose at times, but I believe in rehabilitation for women. I believe there should be centres for women where they can get their kids in. I know it's meant to be a punishment, but there's other ways and means that we can punish individuals without taking their kids, which then causes them more trauma.
Children also lose their primary caregiver, so we know majority of the time if dad goes to jail, mum and children still remain in the house and mum keeps it together. A lot of times that doesn't happen for kids whose mum's in prison.
Because the woman's the kind of rock in most families, isn't they? The woman's the glue in a family. It kind of holds everything together, and when you take the women away, especially if it's for a minor offence, and it has that knock-on effect through the full family.
Children can often end up in the care system, and there's also research shown that children whose parents have been incarcerated and have had that period of separation are also more at risk of offending themselves. In terms of community payback orders, which part of it would be a supervision requirement, and that can be anything up to 6 months to 3 years, and it would be depending on the severity of the kind of offence. And that part of that would be coming in and seeing a social worker on a regular basis who carries out offence focused work and looking at criminogenic needs and linking in the offender to appropriate services.
In my experience, a very positive impact in females is it allows them the opportunity to start addressing the issues that they've got that's brought them into offending. Also gives them a kind of opportunity to stabilise in the community.
I believe there's gaps in the system at times. I believe it's a certain criteria you need to fit to get into certain services within Glasgow. I believe it was the right time for me in my life, but I had to be willing to put in action to change my life too. So there's services there, but depending on how you are as a person at that time, and if you're really ready to change your life and put in the hard work, I believe you can break the cycle of offending by putting more support into place for individuals. We lack the support, we lack the knowledge, we're talking about addiction. So a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people offend due to their addiction issues. So we need to treat the addiction. How do we treat the addiction? We treat it with trauma counselling, we treat it with rehabs, we treat it, and that's the stuff that we're lacking in services just now.
So my hope is by establishing a kind of forum that works with women who have had lived experience, for them then to come in and tell us what works for them and what doesn't work for them. Given that knowledge of them is also beneficial for shaping policies and shaping practice and how we do stuff. Gaining service users feedback as well is really beneficial.
Going forward, my hopes for women and their family being supported through the criminal justice system would be to have more community support. Instead of putting women in prison, have more places like the 218 project around the city, so that women don't have to be separated from their families, so that their kids aren't missing their mum or having to go to prison visits. You know, to have that kind of rolled out on a wider scale for women and their families going through the criminal justice system would be amazing.
So for me, it would be about rehabilitation for women, getting them an understanding of addiction and stuff like that, and most importantly, dealing with the trauma and why this woman's offending and why she's doing the stuff that she's doing, to then support her to be able to look after her kid.